Hello, my loves. Thank you guys for being here. It's Dion, your Sin City medium, and today we're talking all things mediumship, okay? I'm often getting questions like, what does it feel like? What do you see? How did you get started? So I wanted to dive into all of the popular questions that I get, as well as provide a little bit more explanation for those of you that are on your spiritual journey, right? Or want to be able to perform mediumship one day, okay? Let's talk about it. First things first, what is mediumship? So basically, mediumship is the ability to connect with loved ones that are on the other side. Now, it just doesn't have to be loved ones that you connect with. It can be ascended masters, spirit guides, whoever from the other side, and you're able to connect and convey messages, okay? So for me personally, when did I know I can do this? Let's talk about my journey first. So I was on a one-on-one call, and it's weird because for me, I feel like I always, and this is why we need to follow our intuition or those energetic calls and those pulls that we get. And honestly, when you feel that, it's because it's something that you've done before in a past life, oftentimes. Muscle memory, okay? So for me, I was on a one-on-one call, and behind the individual that I was speaking to, I just kept seeing this guy, and what's weird, and it doesn't happen this way anymore, but it was like boop, 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 like this flashing of this person behind them, like off to the right of them. And so I say, hey, you've got the energy of this person with you. It looks like a cousin. I'm trying to describe this person. They're like, oh my goodness, like that sounds like my uncle that passed. And I said, oh wow, okay, he's showing me this, he's showing me that. But there wasn't any real messages. I think I didn't know what to look for, which is weird because I'm already doing, you know, past, present, and future readings. But with this, it was like, and I don't know if I was just taken aback because this person had actually appeared to me. But I didn't have any like real message for them. It was like that person was showing me like, hey, like let him know I'm here basically, and then how they passed. And that was the confirmation that their loved one was around them basically, even though that's not what they were looking for. Their loved one was around them and guiding them, right? Being protective of them. So that was that. It was an icebreaker for me because I was not scared. It didn't feel scary in any way, but I remember sitting there later. You guys know me. I sat there later on my bed like, damn. Like, it was just so weird for me. And honestly, I want to say maybe 2 weeks before that even, let's take it even back further, I could feel energy around me. So as I had the thought, boop, mediumship, you know, where a year ago I was like, oh, that's terrifying. I don't want to do that. That's scary. And then I cozied up to the idea because I just kept coming across things that talked about mediumship, videos that talked about mediumship. And then next thing you know, now, you know, I'm feeling like something's around me. I'm feeling energy, and I'm like, okay, who is this, right? Like I can tell it was happening, and I would just be talking to myself out loud, right? Completely normal in this household. And then, yeah, I get on the call that day, and that happened. So after that, now I built up my courage, and I realized, oh, that's not scary at all, because that person did not seem at all aggressive in any way, even though it was like flashing like that. I think it was to get my attention, okay? So I wake up probably the next morning or two mornings after that, and I say, all right, if I'm gonna do this, granddad, you're the only person I trust to come through. Like, I need to know, is this something that I'm gonna do? I need to know this. And I remember sitting up in my bed. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I sat up in my bed, and I said, come through, granddad. You know, you're the only one I trust. And I just asked for protection from my spirit guides. And you know, this man gave me like a whole paragraph. Basically, I felt like he gave me a mission statement of, you know, like, say it and it is done, and you know, basically in the end it was like, you were built for this, you know, and signed off with his last name, which in Belize, his last name is a very proud name, and I was like, okay, got it, like, new mission unlocked, right? And from then on, I got excited about it. And I remember asking, so I would be on TikTok live, and I remember in order to kind of delve into this, I remember asking like, hey, if you guys are interested in the mediumship, like, I'm down, let's do it one-on-one, just email me, blah, blah, blah. And of course, you know, some of them, they're so supportive, right? Like our whole Sin City tribe, and they emailed me, and we did it. We started doing it, and I realized, oh my God, this is like the most beautiful thing ever. The most beautiful appointments ever are my mediumship appointments. Just because, I'm laughing with my clients, I'm crying with my clients, crying with my clients, but it just feels so beautiful and connected because I can feel the emotions of their loved one from the other side, right? So let's talk about how the mediumship sessions go. So evidential mediumship, you sit down with your client, right? And the first thing I aim to do is give them either like past memories of times they shared together, and I'll try to go 1 through 8, 1 through 10 or something like that, just so your client knows, right, that you're connected to the right energy. And then I go into messages, do you have any questions, and I go back and forth like that. That's how the mediumship sessions go. And in doing that, I've learned so much, right? So I can feel the energy once that person pinpoints, yeah, that's my dad, or that's my grandfather, whoever. The energy of your loved one that has passed, it's almost like I could feel this excitement, like they're excited because they're like, oh yeah, we're in there now, right? And then we can go back and forth. Every once in a while though, I do get an individual where their energy feels very vague. I might have like onesie twosie things, and it just feels very vague. Obviously, consent is needed when you're doing mediumship and connecting with the other side. So when it feels like that, I kind of like to stop it. And I thank them for being there, and I stop it, and then I ask them, is there another loved one that you're wanting to connect to? And sometimes I don't even have to ask that, like that other loved one will come through. And then we proceed, and it's a beautiful session. Obviously this is a little more difficult when you're on the live, because lives go so fast. It's quick, you want to provide a couple evidential things and then boom, hop into whatever message is. So you'd prefer that person be there and be ready and want to talk. But oftentimes, if the individual you're wanting to connect to wasn't into spirituality in this way, so too then energetic wise, it's the same thing. You're like a little bit more distrusting and vague, not sure, like, girl, I don't know if I want you to connect to me. and you can feel the standoffish energy. And like I said, I won't press it. Okay, so let's talk about it. How is information received? Okay, so we know when you're doing this, it feels like all systems are go, right? Like all your clears are pinging as you're doing mediumship, which is why they're like, the most energetically draining, because you're really using all of them. I get lots of images, but again, my strongest clear is clairvoyance, secondary is claircognizance, third clairsentience, and then clairaudience, right? So yeah, I get lots of visions. So I might say things, and this is where people get caught up, because they're like, what does she mean by that? I'll say it feels like a soup. It's not chili, but it feels thick, like a stew, and it's hard to explain, but it's like I can feel the comfort of the food. So I can tell it's like a stew because it feels like comfort food, but I can see it and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't quite look like chili. So the images are not quite clear like that all the time, especially depending on what type of being you're channeling, okay? So that's oftentimes why we say things like that. Oh no, it sounds to me like, or feels to me like, because I can say things like, oh, it feels like the color black, because I can feel the darkness of the color. And that's why a lot of times as mediums we're saying things that sound like they don't make sense, but it makes complete sense to us because of the way information is coming in. I do hear things. So for me, warnings come on my left in the form of like noises, or if my temperature goes up, if I'm upset or something, like I could feel like this weird like twist on my brain. It's like, calm down, right? Like that's what I get. So during mediumship, I don't necessarily get warnings, but when it comes to my clairaudience, I will hear things. Information always comes from my right. So oftentimes you'll see me like doing all of this, right? As I'm doing it, because this is where I'm getting the information coming to me. And I will hear things. I just know that clairaudience is not my strongest clear. For example, if you go back and you look at my mediumship session, I believe it was with Jessica. Before we even started the session, boom, her person came through and I was like, they even start saying their name. So it was like, I was like, Adam, who is this? And then she's like, oh, well, I have a twin brother named Adam. And I'm like, well, Dion. But because the information is coming like that, and I'm literally just saying what is coming into my ear, as it's coming in, I'll say it sounding crazy, but it's something simple as Adam. Like, so yeah, that a lot of times that happens too. It almost feels as if I'm stumbling on my words, or I have trouble finding the words, even as they're showing me a vision. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me know down below if you have any questions. I got you. Okay. So what types of things am I able to tell about the person during a mediumship sessions? What can you pick up about this person? Oftentimes I can feel that person's like personality. Immediately I feel like either like a little bit bubbly. Like one time I had somebody's, oh, sweet Grandma Maria, right? Like sweet lady. And she came through and it just felt like, oh, like, you know, like she just felt cuddly, and like I could see her little hair, and she just, I could tell, you know what I mean? She was like really girly and comforting, and I could feel all that energy very quickly. Other times people come through and I can tell they are like a diva, because the first thing they're doing is showing me like, they'll show me like the hands and a ring, and you said my ring is like small, but they would show this to me and it would be huge because they're highlighting that thing to me, and that's how the image would come in. And I can tell by the person, like, oh yeah, they like to dress up, and sure enough, that'll be the like very type of person that'll say, you know, they're showing me this photo, it looks like it's on top of a dresser, what is this? And then my client will say something like, oh yeah, that was her best photo. She looks good in that picture, or something, like she's very fond of it. So you can pick up a lot about a person's personality, favorite foods, what they did for work, all those types of things. You can even pick up on things that make them uncomfortable and upset, right? So let's talk about that. What happens when you maybe ask a question that someone doesn't want to answer, right? Well, for one, I remember there was a woman that wanted to know why her ex had, you know, committed suicide. And I remember asking, and it was like immediately this, I felt like boxed in, and it was like this weird feeling like, no, you know what I mean? Like, but I felt like so constricted and boxed in. You know the scary movies where you see somebody's face and it's like, shh, like they do that like fast thing. This is what that was. Like, that's how it felt. Like the energy like shook me up, like, have I said no, right? Like it was like, no. And I felt it, and I was like, yeah, I don't think he wants to answer. And he was not scary at all. But the way that felt to me, I knew that was a no, like that was off limits. I immediately felt it. I know he was trying to hurt me. He seemed like a very sweet person. It wasn't anything like that, but I knew no more, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to be asking that. Like, that's not something I'm supposed to be doing. But I mean, he gave me all kinds of other information, and it was talkative otherwise. But that was like a no. As far as anything like scary per se, or evil or anything like that, no. Nothing at all. Outside of the scene of how somebody passed, or wanting me to explain something like that, you know, if it was not of their own will and stuff, or somebody at the hands of somebody else, those are the only things that you're like, oh man. But it's not scary in the form of entity, evil, scary. I've never encountered anything like that. Like I said, these are the most beautiful appointments ever. Like I love them, right? What happens when the person is not coming through? And like I said before, if that person's not wanting to come through, or I feel the energy, like I said, I'll cut it short, and I'll ask them, is there somebody else you're wanting to connect to? But most times somebody else steps forward right away, and they give a lot of messages. Oftentimes I see this when someone has just passed. If it's like days after passing, that energy just feels like it's like they're there, they come through, but they're not. It's like so surreal for them still. So I feel like if you're thinking about getting a mediumship session, or you're wanting to form mediumship for somebody else, I honestly would give it, just to be safe, I would give it a few weeks before doing that, right? Allow them time to process, because sometimes it just feels like they haven't fully transitioned, and it's like they're still trying to accept what has happened, or where they are. So that would be my suggestion. A few weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, just to be safe is what it feels like for me, to get the best result. And if they still don't want to come through, then hey, right? We don't force it. Now someone did ask me, like, well, why are mediumship sessions like so expensive in comparison to other readings? Well, for one, I can tell you it is energy draining. And I know I've hit on the topic before of like, all your receptors and everything is like pinning, and you're trying to push forward information, and you know, it's you have this person, like you can feel them through you, and it's just so much more energetically draining. It requires a lot, and oftentimes when you do those sessions, right, it's like you block out your schedule after that too, just so you can kind of decompress, right? I like to pray afterwards and kind of send that person back and just sit for a moment, you know, and be thankful and thank my team for even the ability to be a vessel for someone. So that's why, right? That's why those are a little bit more costly. On top of that, you really are opening yourself up. You know, I do ask for protection from my spirit team as I ask someone to step forward. But still, imagine all that that is required in that aspect. And I think, you know, for us, that's why those tend to be a little bit more expensive in comparison to other readings. They're just a lot more energetically draining. You know, a lot of you is being asked. So as much as I love it, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, right? It requires a lot of focus, and again, the clairs are like muscles, right? So it's like working out, full body workout, and after that, literally, sometimes I'm like yawning out after that. Yeah, so I can't think of anything else that I think I need to touch on as far as mediumship goes. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to ask them, to answer them. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe. You can also join our Discord, right? It's like half the price of a TikTok live reading. I believe it's like less than $15 for sure. You join from your computer. I think on Discord it's like maybe $10 or something. But for the month, we have intuitive practice games. We do channeled messages from one of the ascended masters just about every day. We also do yes, no's in there. So yeah, come join us. We'd love to have you be a part of the Sin City tribe, baby. See you guys soon. Okay, family, don't forget to join us live on TikTok daily. We go live every day, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you there. We've also got a Discord. Come join the Sin City tribe. We're doing yes or no's, channeled messages, as well as intuitive practice. And guess what? We've got weekly giveaways. Who doesn't love a giveaway? And this is all for less than the cost of a TikTok live reading. I hope to see you there.